this today before I forget it. I was very saddened over the summer to hear of a retirement of a person that I consider a great Georgian and also a great American, and a man that's been a tremendous resource to me ever since I've been elected, and 25 or 30 years before that, everybody in the state of Georgia, a public servant that's earned the reputation of being as trustworthy as you can possibly be on this earth, and somebody that we're going to miss, but I'm happy for him in his retirement that maybe he'll get some rest and deserve rest and maybe spend some time with his family. But I'm still saddened that we won't have access to him, but I'm happy to report that he's been kind enough to agree to spend at least the rest of this session with us. And ladies and gentlemen, over here, and I'm going to ask him to stand. I'm going to embarrass him if I can one last time. A truly great Georgian, a friend of Georgia in every way, Bobby Linehan. Sincerely, Bobby, thank you, and for all you do, all you've done, and all I'm sure you will do. We appreciate that. Chairman Sims, are you here with us? Thank you. Good. There's a voice behind me here. Do you have a report from your sales tax subcommittee meeting of 2:30?
Yes, sir. We have reported House Bill 970 out and onto the full committee for the Ways and Means with a due pass.
Recommendation. Thank you, Chairman Sims. Representative Jay Roberts is the first signer on the bill. Are you ready to present the bill to full committee, Representative Roberts?
Yes, sir.
You're recognized for that purpose.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen of the committee, I bring to you today, on behalf of the governor, a bill that basically ratifies what he's already signed into executive order. What the bill basically does is it returns the windfall revenue from 4% sales tax on the higher natural gas prices for residential use. We're returning 2% of that 4%, which basically equates to about $15 million roughly back to the consumer and the individual that's bearing the brunt of these high prices on as far as heating fuel goes. If you'll take and you look at the bill, if we go over from in section 2 to B1, it's where it talks about natural gas. If you can see with the period that it's talked about, it says and the time period concluding at the end of the third completing billing cycle ending on or before April 30th, 2006, state sales and use taxation. And what it's basically, the reason I'm pointing that out as compared to in B2, where it's going from January, February through the end of March 31st. The difference in the two is, one is the natural gas, and it's on a billing cycle that's billed out on a monthly basis, versus the section 2 there, or B2, where it's talking about propane, where it's actually paid for at the point of delivery, and you know exactly how much you're getting from that standpoint. You know, this administration is really not willing to accept a windfall revenue surplus due to unprecedented high gas prices that we are experiencing due to the fact that, you know, we've had Katrina and a lot of other natural disasters. They're wanting to give this money back to that consumer to help them during these tough times, as far as when the heating prices will be higher this next year during the heating season. Mr. Chairman, that's basically the bill as is, and I would be glad to answer any questions that anyone might have.
Okay, the gentleman presenting the bill has yielded for questions from the committee. I have a few, but I'll hold on mine if anybody would like to be recognized for the purpose of a question to the author of the bill. Representative Flood, you're recognized for the question to the author.
Mr. Chairman, to Representative Roberts, just a kind of a clarifying question to me. I was delighted to see that the governor is interested in returning some of the windfall back to consumers. I'm sure the people in my district will appreciate this. Just a question of curiosity. Just in terms of this executive order that suspends the sales tax, reduces the sales tax on heating fuel, what's the difference in this executive order and the one that suspended the sales tax on gasoline that required a special session? Is there some major difference in the rationale for why there was a special session in the fall, and why that could not have waited until this January session?
Sure.
As well?
I mean, if you remember back whenever we had that special session, we actually addressed that issue. It was a situation, had we not had the special session at the time to ratify it, and had waited till January, and then for some reason it wasn't ratified, and we'd had to go back and collect that revenue for those 3 months prior, which would have counted to a lot, millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. We'd had to go back and collect. So therefore, we chose to be proactive and to be leaders, and be statesmen, and come in and address the situation at the time, and go on and ratify that order, which was the governor had signed.
Second question, Mr. Chairman. The estimate for the collection of or savings is about 14.9 million. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's based on last year's prices.
That's correct.
Do we have
Well, what it's based on is average usage, yes.
Do we have some feel for what the 2006 numbers are going to be?
It's based on the average of what the prices are at this time. If you use the same consumption as last year, then that's what it would be.
But the prices are fixed as of January. Do the prices fluctuate month to month?
Yes.
So it could be higher in February, it could be March.
That's correct. If you'll see in there, I think the note says in there, according to the usage, it could fluctuate.
Thank you.
The chair recognizes Representative Orrock for the purpose of a question of the author of the bill.
To the author, Representative Roberts, in the subcommittee, we heard information about the fund that's been set up for emergency support of low-income households who get a high heat bill that they cannot handle. And what is your response to the idea of pooling the money that we would realize from this 2% sales tax and addressing the large growing waiting list that we have in that program of low-income households, people 150% of poverty and below that we're not able to currently serve with the level at which that's funded. Those are, of course, federal funds and funds from our Universal Service Fund.
Well, the governor in his budget, which we will talk about in the State Address on Wednesday at 3 o'clock, you will see that in the LIHEAP program, he put $4.15 million, roughly thereabouts, in to fully fund that, which has never been done before. The state hasn't put the money in there. Based on the numbers that were there last year, that will fully fund those that were on the waiting list from last year. So last year, roughly, I think it was probably close to 27,000 households, somewhere between 26 and 27,000 households that were still on the waiting list. This year, those households would be fully funded under the LIHEAP program with the money that he has in his budget that he will present on Wednesday.
Just to follow up, I understand that as of December this year, that there is just up until December, there are now 25,000 households on that list, and that's going to increase incrementally each month with the heating bills coming in. I'm assisting an 82-year-old blind widow in my neighborhood who's got almost a $300 a month bill and gets a $578 Social Security check. So it's a concern that I'm just voicing that the administration and the legislature join hands to
Not to cut
address
you off,
this.
but I'd ask you to limit your comments to questions if you have a question. Thank you.
I'm through. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Chair recognizes Representative Brown.
Thank you, Chairman. I think the testimony that we received at the subcommittee meeting had to do with the fact that 25,000 has dropped to 12,000. The waiting list right now, if I heard Alan Essig correct, is 12,000 at the present time, with an anticipation, obviously, since some of the agencies don't keep such numbers, that it will grow. But I don't think we're starting with a base of 25,000. We're starting with a base of 12,000.
Chair recognizes Representative Burkhalter.
If I can maybe make a couple of comments, Representative Orrock. A couple of points of clarification. You asked for the reason for the special session. Price per therm to the firm customers, residential consumers, as they call them, has doubled basically from last year to this year, thus the 4% to the 2% figure. It's, as you know, natural gas is a commodity traded internationally. There's no way of knowing what it's going to be in February. Our best guess is that this tax cut will cover the complete windfall. And thus, you know, we're now forecasting the coldest months coming, obviously, and they're not here yet. They're starting to be here, but thus the need, not a need for another special session in November or December. We're just anticipating the spike that we're seeing based on cost today and what the cost of natural gas is being sold for, what they call the Henry Hub price, which is the gas we get out of Louisiana. To Representative Orrock, I will just say that there's a variety of funds out there that we're trying to address low-income and elderly consumers with. It's not just this LIHEAP program. It's a federal program. The $4 million we're putting in, there's another $6 million that the feds will give as a result of this. So it'll be over $10 million for that. Also, AGL, they didn't get much credit for it this past year, but I think a month or so ago they put another $2 million in themselves to try to help assist. And so there's more than just one fund, plus the Universal Service Fund. PSC, I think, chose to have a little over $6 million out of that, which is a fund that industrial users and AGL pays into as the distributor. So it's more than just one fund, and I think this is going to go a long way towards getting there. Will it solve all, help subsidize all low income and elderly? I don't know, but the hope is we'll go as far as we can with all those monies.
It is, I'll follow up on that if I might ask you as an author of the bill. It is unprecedented that the state has ever funded anything in that regard, is it not?
Yeah, we've always relied on especially for the LIHEAP fund. It's just purely federal funding, and it's subject to whatever's appropriated in Washington. And to have a state line item money for this program, it's administered by the Department of Human Resources, and for it to be line item by a state is very unique. It's never been done as far as we know.
And is it expected and quantified at this point that it will entirely eliminate this waiting list?
I don't know that it will eliminate the entire waiting list. We heard from Alan, and of course Representative Orrock spoke of the numbers. I have not verified those numbers. And how much, just to say that someone gets assisted, what degree they get assisted is hard to say. Some get more than others. Yeah. So, but I think it's going to go a long way. And there again, there's other funds out there too that hopefully we could add them all up and get a real answer.
Thank you. Are there other questions for either of the authors of the bill? Chair hearing none, I'll be glad to entertain a motion. Representative Royal.
Mr. Chairman, this is great consumer legislation, and I would like to move do pass on House Bill 970.
We have a motion and a second. Anybody? Any further discussion before we call a question? No objection to calling the question. All in favor of the motion do pass, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed by like sign? Motion carries. Is there any further business to be brought before this committee today? Hearing none, ladies and gentlemen, this committee is adjourned, and we thank you very much for your diligence.
Yes, sir.